Hey, welcome once again. We're going to take a look at the specifics of what this Google IT certification is going to teach you, and then some of the things that EAC offers. Some of you are done with those programs. Some of you have degrees and you don't need anything more. Others, you're getting started in this and you're like, hey, what else can I do here, right? And so let's look at the specifics of this certification. Very many of you I sent this to, and I have this link in the material so you can go to it yourself. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can take a look at Google IT support. All right, so again, I sent an email out to anybody that said, hey, what is this class going to really cover? And this is the information I sent to you. So obviously you have access to the course and you can dig into all of this, but I went through and said, hey, show all, and I copied it to you. So let's take a look at the general idea of what's happening here, right? So in the first course, they're basically just saying, this is technical support. And as a part of that, they have to say, this is a computer, and this is how it communicates across the network. And that's, basically what they're doing, like assemble a computer from scratch. That sounds great, but they give you one question on that, right? One question. I think I posted the video on actually assembling a computer from scratch, but we do this in our 151 class. That's 151 is beyond this information. It really is. It's more than what you're getting in these two courses as far as computer concepts go. So not networking and stuff like that. Actually, probably networking too, but not systems and system administration and operating systems and stuff like that. Anyway, but in that class, there's a bunch of book work, and then every week we do a lab basically, and it starts by disassembling a computer and putting a computer together. And we also do a Raspberry Pi. Most students make a retro gamer, but I've had people make a Tor server. Sorry, couldn't think of the term. And I've had people make like weather stations and stuff like that. So we do a ton of hands-on stuff, so much so that a lot of students forget about the academic portion. And then in this one, bits and bytes of computer networking, they're trying to give you the fundamentals, so the things you need to know about how that network communications happens. And of course, as I said, that's in our 250 class, and you spend an entire semester going through what wireless does and how it does it, and how networking functions, the OSI model. And then they actually, put a network together and put the settings in, kind of like a group project, so that you can actually see it working. Operating systems and you becoming a power user. This actually does have information in it that my operating system class doesn't. My 113 class covers things in a lot more detail for iOS and Mac OS and Linux and Windows 10. Of course, Windows 10 is the biggest portion of that class. But this actually covers some things that we don't cover in that class. But of course, in 113, we cover a bunch of stuff that this doesn't cover in their certification. But I do really like the way that they have you figure this out. This is going to be some of the most difficult things that some of you will do. You're not used to command line interface. I know that because in my 113 class, I have students do it, and I'll have people just bail. Right? They'll do all the other assignments, and then they won't show up the weeks that they have to do the command line interface. And they're like, I just won't do it. And so this, they really put you in it and like, do it, right? Do this, because this is if you know how to do this, then you're set, especially for networking. But they have you install and configure Windows and Linux. There's some fantastic stuff that they have you do. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to be changing my 113 course now, because I may end up with students that have done this certification and they want more information, right? And I don't want to go backwards, right? I want to give them more. In course 4, you get into the administration of a system, and then the infrastructure of how internally a LAN works. Like if you walk into EAC, they have a LAN architecture there, and the emails are all coming in and you're typing in security to get into the system, right? And what does that really mean? That's really handled in this particular section. So number 4 within the first, system administration and IT infrastructure. It tells you how does an organization really function with this stuff. What is an Active Directory? What is LDAP? Because as a customer service rep, you're going to go in and work in that type of system, and you need to know where you are. So you may never really support this type of thing, but if you're talking with people on the phone and trying to help them, you have to know how this stuff is functioning at a basic level. So that's fantastic that they have that. And that right there, course 1, 2, 3, and 4, right there, operating system, systems administration. You're only going through up to operating systems in this one, and then 4 and 5 are the next class, and 156, but I'll have this video in there too. And defense against the dark arts, and some of that is really basic. This class would be much closely aligned with my 255. So 255, where you're doing this virtual server stuff, once you get the virtual server running and you have your own little virtual network that you've created between a PC that's running virtually and a server that's running virtually, which is pretty dang cool, then you get into, okay, now make users, now make groups, now set some security on that. And so it's pretty dang cool. So we get into that type of thing. And we even get into backup a bit because you're dealing with snapshots and virtualization and 255. And then IT security, defense against the dark arts, the new thing I'm doing that really goes well beyond what they're talking about here is going to be my 251 course. That's the second portion of networking, and that's going to be ethical hacking. That's actually a certification that's out there by the EC Council, and we'll get started on that. We'll use some tools. We'll have some virtualization that'll happen there, and people will learn this is what a hacker is doing. Now, to take that course, you could just jump into it. I want to warn people that if you jump into that this fall, that'll be a lot to jump into. That's going to be on Thursdays, I think, is when it's scheduled. But in any case, it will be a lot. You usually would want to take 250 first, because 250 is going to be the networking. It's going to be how all the networking functions, which is what the base is for the security. Lots of money in security. And that's what I want to introduce students to, is these are these concepts that you can get to know. And that way, if you like it, you'll know I'm going to go into security, because I have a lot of students that think, yeah, it's going to be so cool, man, security. And then they start getting into it and they're like, well, I don't want to do this. You know, the dream of what it is different than reality. And so that class will eventually morph into 285, which is a security class I used to teach. But this semester I'm going to run it as part of my networking. So 251 is what that will be. The reason we do that, so let me switch this over to something else. Go over to this little spreadsheet I made. This is what we try to do at EA, and I like it. You know, at a 2-year level, what are you really trying to do? Well, the honest truth is that a person with a 2-year degree and a certification can get paid very well. They don't need a 4-year degree. And so what you see here is that really the IT world is split into these 4 general areas. And what you're dealing with is this one, the infrastructure, the PC portion, the networking. You're dealing with the starting position in this area. And this is just general, but they're pretty evenly split. Data systems, that's dealing with databases. Data systems run everything. And so if you go out to Amazon and you search for a product, that's a data system that you're accessing. So you can imagine that data systems, because they're everywhere, have a lot of people behind them. And so we have classes. I don't teach those. Those are Lydia Mata's courses, but she teaches Access, and there's a sequel course that you can take, so that if you get exposed to that, you may realize, whoa, I like data systems. I want to do data systems. And then programming, or on the web or otherwise, that's a huge thing, right? Programmers are always going to be needed. When you think about what's happening, you now have software. You've had software running your car, or tuning your car appropriately for a very long time, but now that's everywhere. You got to have people that are programming that. And as well, you have to have tech support for that, right? I don't know what that tech support department would look like for Chevy, for instance. The dealer's calling in and saying, hey, this interface in this car is not working right. What do I do? Right? They got to have people that explain that. And that comes from the tech support side. And they got to have people program it. And that comes from the programming side. And then the other one, which is kind of across all these different areas, is security. Security has become such a huge thing that we can't get enough of those people. And there's network security. There's actually security officers that deal with software creation, making sure that it doesn't have holes in it that need to be plugged. There's security within data systems. And so to say I'm going to be a security officer, it's like, well, you get started as that, and then it's networking, then maybe you specialize in data systems, or maybe you specialize in software development, or there's just tons and tons of things. And so what we do is say, well, 113 fits within this, 151 fits within this, 250 fits within this. And then for data systems, that's Access, that's Excel, fits within that. And then for programming, Lydia teaches 2 programming courses, C#. Actually, she taught Java as well this year. And app development fits within that. She teaches that. And then security, we finally have something to put in there. We used to actually teach a security class, but it wasn't that much fun. It didn't really cover hands-on, like this is how you do it. It was a CompTIA certification. This one, the EC Council, has a lot of hands-on stuff. And so now we've got a class that deals with security. And of course, CMP 100, which tries to introduce you to this entire world, so that way, as you're taking these classes, you'll be able to pick out the ones you really like and go, that's what I'm going to go do. And I tell you honestly, I had a student that came in and I said, well, why are you here? You know, it was in my 100 class. He had been in the military. He's like, I came to learn networking with the hopes that I would eventually move into security, which was just becoming a deal back then. And then he took a programming class. And after he took that programming class, he's like, nope, not going into networking. I'm going into programming. That's what I'm going to do. And that's why we rotate you through those. We want you to understand the entire world as much as possible within technology, so that you can take something and then go, that's what I like. That's what I'm going to do. And not have to get done with your education, even at a bachelor's level, and then go, why am I doing networking? I love programming. Why did I go into programming? I hate it. I should be doing networking. You know, then you don't have to shift gears. Although I will say that within technology, you can shift gears pretty easily. You can go from programming, networking, or, you know, back and forth. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to share that information with you. Hopefully that you find that helpful. If you have any questions, let me know.